And the Democratic, again, we don't have a term for it yet. We're going to say what it is.
Beauty contest was a term used before, but a bit tricky, perhaps.
Yeah, it has a whole several levels we don't want to go anywhere near. Whatever the Democratic thing is, we'll characterize that and the Republican primary when our coverage of the Florida primary, etc. Count by the woman who will be in front once the counting is done tonight. At 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. on the Panhandle at this hour. The last of the polls have closed in Florida. Let's take a look at where things stand. The Republican race, too close to call, according to our NBC News estimation. Senator McCain and Governor Romney locked in a close race. Rudy Giuliani and Mike Huckabee running far behind. 57 delegates at stake there. The Democratic primary, well, all right, the Democratic primary, which you just saw, no delegates will be allocated based on the results in Florida. However, that said, Senator Clinton will finish with more votes than any other candidate today. Senator Obama will finish second and Senator Edwards third. That much is clear. There it is again, in case you missed it the first time. It's looking at those numbers, 48, 29, 14, with 19% of the Democratic precincts reporting. That's a lot of votes for something that don't count. Alongside Chris Mathews, I'm Keith Olbermann. Our coverage of the Florida primary continues. We're in fact expecting to hear from Senator Clinton. She's going to say something in the next half hour. That's the expectation anyway out of Davie, Florida.
I think the idea of her going down is very important. I think that Senator Clinton wants to have a win this week after the endorsements, the very passionate and dramatic endorsements by Ted Kennedy and Caroline Kennedy of her opponent. This is a way to get back on the scoreboard.
You've been interrupted by the Hillary Clinton celebration.
Hey, I think she would be a great Democrat.
They're celebrating. There's Alcee Hastings there and Bill Melson, the senator. They're all there.
And Alcee Hastings, who already tonight called for these delegates to be seated. And that's
Let's
a quick
get
word
going here. Let's make it official. We've got Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz. Wasserman Schultz, she's a familiar face on our program. She's waving her hand in the air, getting all excited. You know, they do make it look like a real derby down there. It has the look of an event.
Well, where are we? We're in Davie. There's a great highlight front on there.
Right, just remember, for the people watching now, this doesn't count. What we're watching here. This is an unofficial, unratified, basically outlaw primary being held down there. It's banned. It doesn't exist. And yet we're watching what looks like a victory celebration in every other aspect. I mean, if you were tuning in, you'd say they just won something that matters. They did win something. The question is whether it matters in delegate terms, because the Clinton people are the ones who every second say all that matters is delegates. And yet here they are, as been pointed out, they're celebrating the event of not winning any delegates tonight. But this is politics. As it's been pointed out, it's what you do with what you got. And what they got tonight is a victory in the numbers in Florida. Look at the excitement down there.
Let me read the official terminology that we're using. In the Democratic primary, please note that no delegates are allocated based upon the results in Florida, at least according to how the rules are written tonight, and that the candidates pledged not to campaign there. Everybody just happened to have those signs at home. However, that's not the official terminology.
They are not hand-painted signs, Keith, as you've noticed.
That's my terminology. However, Senator Clinton will finish with more votes than any other candidates today. Obama will finish second and Edwards third. The actual hard count at 37%. Senator Clinton has 417,000 plus votes and 49% of the vote to Senator Obama's 253,000 and 30% of the vote. Again, the timing of this, Senator Clinton did not get wheels down in Florida until, I guess, after the polls closed, at least the ones in that part of the state. So she lived up to that part of the pledge, certainly. It really is I almost said it's your definition of what the word
chutzpah.
No, what the word campaign is.
They are really good, the Clintons. They have created here a confection of victory, which will work in many of the newspapers in the country. It will be on the wire services. It will be in all the
It's on our air right now.
By the way, I keep forgetting. It's on television as we speak.
Right now.
In fact,
not just for us.
We're talking about it. We're actually watching it. You know, remember the old days when Mike Deaver was talking to Leslie Stahl of CBS about all the nice, tough piece they were writing about Reagan, and all it was phony events like this? And Deaver said, keep it up. Keep talking about the phony events, because every time you talk about an event like this, we win.
We're going to take a chance here that this introduction is going to continue for some time, and that Senator Clinton's remarks will be made per her schedule. So we're going to continue with our MSNBC coverage of the Florida primary with the Republicans and Democratic, whatever that is over there. When we come back, Senator Clinton will talk about whatever it is that she did tonight. The extrapolations and the exit polls as conducted by NBC News. We left you before the commercial break in Davie, Florida, not at the Fronton, but at the Signature Ballroom in Davie, Florida, where, yes, we were correct. The introductions of Senator Hillary Clinton continue, and the senator is expected to speak at, the original plan was at about 45 minutes past the hour, about 5 minutes from now. Our Andrea Mitchell, who's been following the campaign, the Clinton campaign, for much of this primary season, has followed them into the Signature Ballroom in Davie, Florida, and joins us from there now for the celebration. What's the celebration for, Andrea? Have we figured that out yet?
It is a celebration of the fact that this is not South Carolina. This was basically ginned up after South Carolina to show that she could blunt the momentum, she hoped, of Barack Obama. That's when they started talking up Florida, and that's why they came here. They knew that they had a big advantage here, that she had a lot of support. Of course, there's no delegates, so this is, I guess, the Potemkin village of victory celebrations. When is a victory not a victory? It is a place for her to be and to meet with people and say that she's won something, notch up another victory. But as we say, there are no delegates. The delegates may eventually be seated, Keith, but not until after a nominee is chosen. So it will have no impact whatsoever on who gets the Democratic nomination. Keith?
And obviously, Andrea, the difference in the nature of how the Clinton camp responded to a similar paper victory, if you will, in Michigan, and what they're doing now in Florida tells you the entire perception of the dynamic of the Democratic race must have been changed within Clinton HQ, correct?
Exactly. And, you know, what they said was that, well, in Michigan, they were the only ones on the ballot. Here in Florida, it was competitive. They were all on the ballot, even though, of course, they all pledged not to run, not to campaign. She did come here and fundraise, but she didn't do any public gatherings before the polls closed at 8 o'clock here tonight. The big difference, by the way, Keith, in the way the campaign has been operating is that today Bill Clinton was in both New Jersey and in Ohio, and in fact was under control, under wraps, on message. He spoke for 31 minutes in New Jersey by our account, and mentioned himself only 4 times in 31 minutes, mentioned his wife repeatedly over and over and over again. Then went on to Ohio, did the same thing. No interaction with reporters. Reporters kept well beyond a rope line. No Q&A with the audience, we're told. So this is the new Bill Clinton, at least Bill Clinton 3.0, as long as it lasts, on message and not going on the attack.
Andrea Mitchell inside that packed ballroom in Davie, Florida, where Senator Clinton will speak shortly. However, that no delegates will be allocated based upon the Democratic results in Florida, barring lightning striking. Minutes ago, Senator Clinton, though, thanking supporters in Davie, Florida, for a victory that kinda isn't.
Look, we'll find out tomorrow night. You said yourself, Nora, that we got an enormous turnout among Democrats. I can't believe it when nobody's campaigned there. Yeah. Let's find out what happens tomorrow night to see if this thing has worked.
Hey, you know, guys, I want to posit my theory that Florida voting here tomorrow. Pat mentioned it earlier. You've got all this early voter turnout. 1 million Democrats probably going to vote in Florida. And put all these legalities aside, my argument for why Florida is worth watching tomorrow on the Democratic side is it might be a very good preview of what happens in all these February 5th states where the candidates aren't going to be able to campaign very much. I think that voters here in Florida who haven't seen any traditional campaigning from the candidates are very similarly situated to what voters out in all those Super Tuesday states who also haven't seen. So it'll be a real reflection, a possible
Yeah, Rachel, go ahead.
I think Craig raises a really important point, and that is that the national media gets into all these states, even if they're not having direct visits from the candidates. And when we've got 22 or 24 states all going on February 5th, when we've got the ban on campaigning in Florida that we've got for the Democrats for tomorrow, what happens is the national media becomes more important. And what gets covered in the national media a lot of times is Barack Obama's beautiful speeches and scandal about Bill Clinton and maybe he's being inappropriate in the campaign.
I can't imagine that such an important state like Florida will be allowed to go by the wayside for November, because I can't imagine that Florida Democrats will be too excited about being involved in November if they get slapped around during the summer.
thrilled to have had this vote of confidence that you have given me today. And I promise you I will do everything I can to make sure not only are Florida's Democratic delegates seated, but Florida is in the winning column for the Democrats in 2008.